What is up, everybody? Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning The Dr. Vibe Show. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I am the 2018 winner, Innovation Award winner from the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and this is the home of Epic Conversations, and the Dr. Vibe Show is the host of Epic Conversations. And I'm excited because we're continuing a conversation that got broadcast but not recorded last week. There were technical challenges, so we're just going to continue the epic conversation. We have two wonderful Black women already here. The other Black woman who's going to be here is just getting something to eat, so she'll be on momentarily. So we call Wednesday nights at this time hashtag Black Lady Magic. So one of the ladies of Black Lady Magic, aka Encyclopedia Brown, aka Lia World Traveler, Lia Miller, how are you?
Good, really good. Happy to be here and really excited to get into this awesome conversation with all of you.
And can you just share a bit of background with yourself?
Sure. So gosh, by day I work as a diplomat for you, my fellow brethren of America.
Not me.
And Sistren. I said America.
Okay.
Beyond that, I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. I write, I speak, I consult. I am the newest writer for MadameNoir.com. I'm the new content manager for Urban Intellectuals. More to come on that. I just do a lot of writing. I have a new article coming out on a new publication on Friday, and I have one hopefully that will come out in the Griot soon. Wow. So lots going on and lots more to share, but I'll put all my links at the end so you can check me out and keep the conversation going.
Wonderful. Can I ask you a question, Lia? Do you sleep?
Yes, not always, but yes, I do.
When?
Yes, I do.
When?
Mostly I catch up on sleep on the weekends because I can sleep in, but I always joke, and I don't even really believe this, I just say it all the time, that I'll sleep when I'm dead. So, but no, I do sleep.
Okay, good. Okay, all right.
I just don't waste a lot of my time. Like I do have, I fritter away time here and there, but I'm really strategic about the use of time so that I'm able to do all the things that I do without sacrificing other aspects. Like I'm not gonna come home and be looking at my children and be working and not engaging with them while they're awake. Right. But I'm also not gonna just waste time once they go to bed, just sitting around doing nothing or playing games on my iPad, which I do sometimes, but I'll also be finishing up an article or I'll be kind of multitasking, sort of. So I kind of get it all done. I'm not much of a time waster. But when I don't have a bunch of stuff to do, I do nothing. It's 2 extremes. I'm either doing a whole lot or a whole lot of nothing. Okay,
wonderful. And I guess a guest tonight on this epic conversation, we have Miss Shannon, who was early tonight and says, I'm excited about this conversation, and she rocked last week, so we got to have her back. So Shannon, share a little bit about yourself.
Well, Shannon Ford Jefferson here, by day and night. I mean, I'm on call 24/7. I manage a domestic abuse shelter. I actually worked last night. Thankfully, I don't have to work last night. I'm here. I also am the president of our county's Human Trafficking Coalition. Wow. I'm a writer, author, poet. I have 5 books out, and I'm working on my 6th.
Wow. Wow.
And I don't sleep at all. What is sleep? Like Dedrick said, it's definitely a dessert, and I love tacos.
I love tacos too.
That's what I had today. Look, yep. Just live enjoying life.
So a few things, Shannon, with what you've just shared with us already, I'd like to know if you could come on a Wednesday night with Black Lady Magic and talk about domestic abuse and human trafficking, because that's your space.
Of course. I'd love to.
So if you can give me your email address, type it in before we finish tonight. I'd like to reach out to him. We'd like to have you come on with Black Lady Magic and talk about that, because that's, wow. Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yes,
And
I'd love to talk about that too, because I deal with some of those same issues in my day job as a diplomat. And it didn't include that I'm a social worker. And one of the demographics that I worked with were victims of domestic violence, not only in the parental relationship, but children who are victims of domestic violence. And it's definitely an area of my life that I regret not continuing to work there. So I'd love to hear sort of where things are now in terms of like service provision and what's available for people.
Okay. Look at that. We're like a few minutes in. We already set up for another epic conversation. I'm all over that. So, all right. So before we get into our conversation, I'd like to shout out Stephen. I'd like to shout out Dad, Herbie, Patricia, Ritz. Shout out to Herbie for sharing it on Instagram, and also shout out to Serena Wills, Divine Right, sharing it out on the Periscope broadcast. So we're on Periscope also. Okay, folks, this is it. We're going to get into this hair thing. So we talked about it a bit last week, but let's get into it. Who wants to start the thought process in regards to hair? Because I'm the least qualified to chat about it.
But we do need a male perspective, though, because I mean, I feel like last week we had like a very feminine-centric conversation, which, I mean, admittedly, that's where this conversation really is. But I really do feel like the male perspective is important. But I suggest that we let Shannon kick it off, because she kicked it off last time and she got it rocking. So if she doesn't mind, go on ahead.
So much pressure, Leah. So much pressure. Well, for me, I think the bigger question is why is it such a big deal? And I think we were talking about this in the welcome room before you guys got started, and I was making a joke that this is the pre-show before the real show. And Keenan had asked, what did I think about, schools and workplaces that don't allow you to wear your hair like mine? And I was saying, I think it's a bunch of crap. I think it sends the wrong message to persons of color, women of color, children of color, that they can't identify in this safe space of their hair. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural context. It's not just a trend or a fad. And I've been blessed in that regard, where I haven't had to change my hair for a profession or be looked over for a job. They probably look over more so for my tattoos than they would my hair, but I haven't had a problem getting a job. But I love all the different shapes and textures that our hair comes in, and the way women and men are able to style it and wear it. And I don't think it poses a threat or a problem. I think it's beautiful. So that's where I'm going to start, because I see even bald head, and then he followed up and asked that. He said, why do women not like it? I said, I don't know those women, because I'm here for a bald head man. I mean, just as much as I'm here for a man with hair. You do what makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm. And you like what you like also. I mean, to me, whether you're bald headed or you have hair, that's just one of many attributes that you look at when you look at someone and determine whether or not you think that they're attractive, but it's only one of many. Like, it isn't necessarily going to be, one and done. When you look and see a bald head, you're like, nope, on to the next. That's not necessarily the case, because I feel like there's somebody for everybody out there. And so I feel like somebody with a bald head is the exact right type for someone else out there. So
absolutely,
I think you just got to revel in who you are and what you are.
Okay.
So
I want to jump in here. So Leah, when we first met, you had the locks.
Yes.
And why did you?
I was trying to see if I could have a picture somewhere.
Why did you go to locks, and was it easy to maintain? And what was people's reaction to you and your locks? Because your locks got really long.
They did. They were, well, I would say in my last 2.0 version, because I've had locks twice. Most recently, I had locks, I guess both times when I had them, they got past my waist, and they were just getting really, really long. And I was living overseas when my locks were at their longest this second time around, because I just came back and cut them to nothing about 6 months ago, and I'm growing back out now. But my locks kind of became like a part of my identity. Like, people knew me for almost as much as the role that I was in, because I was a very public person in my office, and I was constantly out like talking, meeting people. So they kind of knew who I was, but I feel like they also knew about my hair. My hair became like this topic of fascination, especially amongst the youngsters that I was talking to, the teenagers there, because where I was in a culture where there are some Afro, diasporan people there, but it's not a common hairstyle, and you definitely don't see it worn by women. The other people, the very few, maybe like I can count on one hand the total number of people I saw with locks. Most of them were men. I think I was the only one that was female with locks. So in that particular context, it kind of made me like a B-list celebrity just because of my hair. Like everybody was sort of wanting to talk about it, talk about how I got it. Was it mine? How can they do that? Is it like braids? Did I add hair? It just became a whole thing, and to the point where I created sort of a little quick 5-minute talk that I could deliver when I met with student groups, because they would be so distracted by my appearance that I could never get to the substance of my conversation with them, which was usually about like English language opportunities or foreign exchange programs or like studying in the United States for college or whatever. I had to kind of get through the hair piece so they could set it aside and then focus on the subjects that I was doing. And so for me, my hair was very much a part of my identity. And I think locks or not locks, I feel like that's part of what makes Black hair, the whole conversation, the whole topic, one that is so emotional kind of, and like it's really fraught, because really our hair is who we are. It is just one element of our identity. We wear it with pride, and it's been a part of us that has been muted, and it's been a part of us that larger society has tried to tell us makes us not beautiful because it doesn't look like what mainstream society says is beautiful. And it has always been a source of shame for us because, they say that we look more masculine because we have short hair, this, that, and the other. And so it's an area that is very sensitive, I think, and raw for Black women, which is why I think Black women, like we took it from that extreme all the way to the opposite extreme, and we turned it into an industry. We turned it into glamour. We turned it into fashion, high fashion. We turned it into anything you can think of, we do to our hair. And so we kind of had to turn that negative into a positive. And so we have, and we've also turned it into big business. But going back to a point that Shannon made, and I do want to talk a little bit more about this, because this was the area that we said we wanted to sort of talk a little bit, which is the external sort of influences on the Black hair conversation, because I think we focused more internally last time, though we didn't really finish that conversation. I too share Shannon's frustration with this notion that Black hairstyles or natural hair or locks specifically are not professional and should not be something that we can wear in the workplace. I remember this whole time period when they were saying people in the military couldn't wear locks, and women in particular being forced to have to either cut them or, I think there's regulations in the military period where, your hair has to be a certain length. It can't go below a certain level. It has to be, what they consider, neat, proper, trimmed, groomed. And somehow natural hair and locks sort of fall outside of that definition. But then I think for a while there was a win where they were saying, okay, well, women can wear their hair in locks. They can wear their hair in braids as long as they can still put it up, get it out of their face, and have this neat appearance. But now I kind of feel like in certain parts of the military, not only, there's other parts of the government and beyond that have these prohibitions where, again, locks are no longer considered professional. And to the extent that if someone is applying for a position and they wear locks, they can be disqualified because of their hairstyle alone. And I'm like, to me, that is clearly discriminatory, because really locks specifically are a Black hairstyle. Yeah, we see white dreads, but it's different.
So different.
Because I feel like, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but when I see somebody who has white dreads, those people are not going to be applying for those jobs. They're doing something else with their lives. But for Black people, it's a common hairdo. There's not certain like a subgroup that wears them. So anyway, that's my 2 cents to add to what Shannon was saying. But now we've got Tachi here. So.
And Tachi is in, and she is fed, which is beautiful.
Yes.
And the earring game is up with the Black.
Yeah, I love those earrings.
Thank
Mine
you.
are nothing compared to those. Look.
Oh no, but yours are awesome. This is
Thank you.
This is the Media Scope earring sponsor. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love those earrings. I want to know who that sponsor is because I need me a pair.
Me too.
Just saying.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
Nice.
and Luke is saying, great show earlier, Dr. Tachi.
Thank you. Thank you for hanging through all the tech difficulties. Thank you.
Yeah, and just a short introduction to yourself, and we'll get you in too.
I'm Dr. Tachi, media professor, filmmaker, media content producer, and journalist. I have 2 shows that I do that I'll talk about later.
Excellent. And one of the shows she did a few hours ago had Alexander and Gisela from Get Vocal. So there you go.
Yeah.
Very, very good. So we're getting into the conversation, continuing the epic conversation from last week, Tachi, in regards to the hair game. And where I think we're going to talk more about the external factors. We spent a little bit of time of the internal stuff last week, but we didn't get through it. But before we go any further, I just want to do a quick shout out to Divine Right and also Candace Anu, who are on the YouTube. And Divine Right is saying, I once went on a job interview. The woman interviewing me was a sister as well. At the end, she asked me, quote, do you always wear your hair like that? It may be hard to place you with a hair like that.
Oh man.
And then
Ask
she also
Divine Right what the style was, if she had braids or something.
And then she also says my hair was in a twist out, and I told her, I do wear my hair natural. If that's going to be a problem, then this is not the place for me. After that, she said, quote, I wish I had it in me to be natural.
Wow.
And Candace Anu says, like Paul Money said, when your hair is relaxed, white people are relaxed.
That's Paul Mooney. Yeah. Yeah. He said that before.
And Divine Right did say, and by the way, I did file a complaint after my interview, and I didn't get a call back about a job, which is not surprising.
Wow.
Yeah, so just wanted to catch up there, and also say hello on the Get Vocal platform to Steph, Dre, Luke, and I think Ritz. And that catches us all up. So, Tachi, I hope you've had some more time to do a little digestion, so you can enjoy. Did a little fill there, so you can get a little digestion. What do you want to do in regards to talking about this subject external wise?
So, I think that often, and this is not always the case, but often, and this goes back to the internal. I think that sometimes there are policies that are put in place. Often there are policies that are put in place that are establishment policies, but we do a very good job of overseeing them, like the overseer on the plantation, to the point where it becomes not necessarily problematic externally. We carry it out.
We perpetuate it.
We perpetuate it more so than, because I've seen this happen before where there's, we all felt the pressure to, even if you were natural, okay, well, I'm going on a job interview. Let me slick my hair back in a ponytail. Let me make it more presentable. Let me make it less black. Basically, that's what you're saying. So as less black as you can be, you try by slicking it, doing it. Mind you, it's still natural, but you'll do something like press it out or whatever to be more acceptable. So, I think part of the problem, and I hate to say, I know we're talking about the external factors, but now some of those things exist because of us and our problems internally. And I remember the university I used to work at, when I went on a job interview, I put my hair in a ponytail, not necessarily because I was trying to be more presentable, but that's just something what I do when it's like, just, put it in a ponytail.
Yeah, that's what we do in a quick pinch. Just throw it back.
Just throw it in a ponytail because
it's quick.
I didn't know if it was going to be a good out hair day or not. So I said, well, ponytail it is. But then when I wore my hair out, they were like, everybody was like, I like your hair like this. And this was not black faculty, because there were only 2 black faculty where I was. It was, non-melanated faculty that were saying that. So, which leads me to believe that that's not in every case, but in many cases, we are our own worst enemy when it comes to our hair. We have internalized the oppressive notion that your hair is not good enough as it is. And so even when that is no longer carried out by the establishment in so many ways, we still carry it on.
Anyone want to add on this? And before we go any further, on the Get Vocal platform, hey, what is up, Cliff? If anyone wants to jump in, I will certainly come out and you can take a seat. So just message me on the Get Vocal platform and I will certainly jump out for a little bit. You can't take it over for the whole thing, but you know, that's all right. And Lucas saying, I got curly hair, tried relaxer once, it didn't do a thing.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
I only had to get burnt one time by a relaxer to know it wasn't for me. And I had it done by a professional. So never again did I do it. And I realized, I guess at that time I didn't know, but I learned very quickly that with my texture of hair, relaxers are just too harsh for me. And so thankfully it didn't, I've heard of way worse stories of like women's hair falling out, women's hair breaking. They have the relaxer in, they go to get it rinsed, they come up with a bald patch. I have never thankfully experienced anything like that. But my experience was, as a biracial young girl, my mother knew how to braid and was able to kind of take care of my hair, but she really didn't. It was kind of like overwhelming to her because, you know, she has thick, straight, thin hair. So I have like this wild mane of curly hair. And so my mother's like, oh, I don't know what to do, but you know, I'm going to try to help this child. So she took me to her salon. Her salon didn't have anyone that looked like me in it. But there were people there who was like, oh no, I had to do this in beauty school. I know what I'm doing. And so this woman put the relaxer on me, but left it on me for too long and didn't have enough base coat of Vaseline or whatever, which is what you need to protect the skin from the chemical. Because essentially that's what you're doing. You're putting chemical into your hair to straighten it. It's a chemical process. She left it on for too long, rinsed it out. Because I was young, my hair was, you know, resilient. It survived it. But I had horrible blisters on the back of my neck and above my ear here. And that was the last time I relaxed my hair. And that was like my sophomore year of high school. And I never did it again because my hair, it was just so painful. Like I had this blister right back here, so I couldn't sleep properly. I was on the basketball team. My jersey was like rubbing up on it. It was terrible. And so and like I said, I don't begrudge any person who's willing to go through that process because it is really, you know, not for the faint of heart, but I will never do it again. I know they say never, but I never have. And I never see myself doing that again. If I really want to wear my hair straight, which I never do, I'll just blow it out.
And if I may, this is, you have a very particular thing when it comes to hair, Lia, because you have a mother who is not the same ethnicity as you, and so there's a lot of this. You're not the only one. I've seen so many times where there are biracial children, and if the mother is non-melanated, she may not know how to deal with hair because she hasn't had to and hasn't been forced to. So this brought me to this. There's one woman, a white woman, and her husband who adopted a black daughter. And, you know, it's all good when they're babies because everybody's hair is basically the same. And then it starts to curl up. And so she said to herself, what am I going to do? She said, oh, well, I'm going to learn how to do black hair. And I'll be damned if she's not better than some black people. She learned how to cornrow, to braid, to twist, to do twist outs, to work with the natural texture. And she just did it by experimenting and asking people. And that, you know, that's really the beginning of understanding as well, because the point is she had to do it because it was her child. But then you start to see, okay, well, this is the thing with hair. And she knew that, okay, you can't use this because it'll break off. I want to make sure she has as little breakage as possible. So she's starting to understand. And by understanding hair, you start to understand the person in a sense. So that's why every time I would go to the website just to look to see what was next, because she had that level of understanding, which was awesome to me.
And I'll just quickly add too on this point, because I feel like, you know, this is a little different conversation, but one of my closest friends is also biracial, but she's half Thai and half white, but she married an African-American man. So their daughters have like amazing hair because it's like the combination of all of those cultures. But she, just like what Dr. Tachi just described, of course, didn't grow up having to do any of this because her hair is long, but she taught herself through YouTube tutorials and other videos, asking friends, asking me, what kind of products do I need for my girls? How can I learn how to braid? I want to manage these, you know, I want to be able to manage their hair and be able to teach them how to take care of their own hair. And I really give a lot of credit to biracial parents of whatever mix, like whether the mom is melanated, non-melanated, whatever, who are raising biracial children who are of a different ethnicity than they are, because they're coming from a different context and they don't know what they're doing when it comes to those types of things. And so I really give them credit, because I think it's sort of like we're all discovering it together and trying to figure it out together. And so now I haven't gone through that as sort of like a guinea pig, can help my own children avoid some of those pitfalls too. And I just don't think a lot of kids, at least in the past, had that kind of guidance or help, or their hair was mistreated because they just did what they had done to their own hair, not realizing that what you did for your hair isn't necessarily what that child's hair needs.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
We haven't heard from you in a bit, Shannon. What's going on?
Well, I was going to piggyback on what Lia said about the relaxer. I was 5 or 6. Mother took me to my aunt's salon and I got my hair relaxed. And I had been getting relaxers at that point from until I was 14 or 15 before I did my first big chop. And don't get me wrong, those 10 years were great. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. I didn't do anything extravagant or fancy with my hair in the 10-year process. But when I did the chop, it was because I wanted something different. I was actually kind of over sitting in shops, listening to women gossip. That was probably my reasoning at the base of it. But I also was a fan of Lauryn Hill and India Arie. So for me, it just made sense. And I didn't have a problem being different. That wasn't praised or tolerated in the generation in which I was growing up at that time, because you just kept things the way they were supposed to be. So when I came back to school with no hair, I would have thought that I had set the school on fire. And the people were upset. They were hostile. Like, why did you do that? As if I were now an ugly person for cutting my hair off. But hair is hair. And now I'm on my 3rd set of locks because I like to cut my hair off quite often. And some days are better than others. Some days I want to cut these off, but I'll keep them for a while. I like hair.
So let's go to the area of external challenges, meaning non-melanated reaction to black hair. Tachi looks like she's all ready to start. I don't have to go any further. Go ahead, Tachi.
No. Finish your statement. I was.
No, I'm done. I'm done. I saw the body language. Said, okay, I can stop now. Tachi's ready.
I think it really depends on where it is. What I think sometimes people have to realize is that hair is part of the body, and there is already an overwhelming amount of disrespect of black bodies and invasion of space of black bodies. And so let's go to the touching thing. I don't know if you all have
oh, please don't get me started on that subject.
Okay, so you'll be back.
But well, I'll go there, but yes.
Yeah. The whole touching of things. And I understand from a curiosity point, you see something that is not like yours, and you want to find it out. That's how you feel the world, but that's how children feel the world. They touch without asking. They invade space without asking because they haven't developed the critical thinking skills to do so. You, madam or sir, are a grown individual. Before you ever invade anybody's personal space, you need to ask. And if this person says no, well then, thank you. Have a great day. That should be it. Your curiosity does not require that I comply with you wanting to touch. And, depending on who it is, sometimes that's okay, but other times it's not. We're not toys. We're not dolls. And I think that's what people need to start realizing and understanding, that it's like, just like you don't want, it's the same thing. You go up to a pregnant woman, you touch her stomach. Did you ask? Do you know her witch? Don't just touch, reach out and touch people without asking permission. And then feeling out, there's also such a thing as feeling whether or not that would be okay. If you're not in this person's inner circle, or even if you are, you need to ask permission. Personal space is something sacred. So, you know, that's where I wanted to go with that, the whole touching thing, but either of you can probably expand on that.
Go ahead, Shannon, because I'm trying to like keep it nice and clean, good.
Well, I don't mince words. And if you're touching me, it's because I like you or I've allowed you to do so. One thing that's non-negotiable across all platforms, I don't care who you are, unless you're in my top 4, don't touch my hair. The only person that has free reign to touch my hair in this lifetime is my mother. But I had a lady at church. She was like, "Oh, your hair is," I was like, oh. First of all, touch me again and you might lose all 5 of those fingers.
Wow.
And secondly, we can have a conversation without your need to touch me. Why did you need to do that? You can admire my hair from over there.
And so besides, you admire something with your eyes.
Like,
right.
And I was like,
right.
That's what they're for.
For 3 Sundays after that, she kept telling people, "Oh, I got in trouble. Shannon didn't." She's like, "Don't touch Shannon's hair." I said, the fact that you even need to remind yourself of that for me is a problem. But all races have done it. Like I've had, and I kind of am shocked when Black women do it because we're usually the ones that don't want people touching our hair. But I've had them come and like, "Oh my gosh," and I'm like, do I know you?
May I interrupt for a moment? That comes from being comfortable because you think because we're all melanated that we're like this and we could that we get a pass. That comes from that.
Honey, you gonna get a pass, all right, upside your head with my.
Yes.
I had to tell her, I was like, I don't care who you are. Don't touch. Look, but don't touch. Window shop. Don't touch and feel. This is not show and touch. We're not doing that. Like, no. I have huge problems with people. And there are people that do ask, can I touch it? And when I say no, cop an attitude. This is not a museum. Like, this is not it's not a wax museum. I don't understand why you're getting an attitude because something that belongs to me is attached to my body and I am governing. You think now that because I won't let you touch it, it's a problem. If you want to go play with a project, I suggest you go find one. I'm not it. Back up, mind your manners and your business, but my hair is off limits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a break, Leah, before you jump in, because I know you know that's so I'm going to just catch up on here on comments. So on the Get Vocal side, Danny is saying my hair has been natural for 20 years. I love it. We underestimate how versatile our hair is. Mm-hmm. Danny's saying also a lot of products strip out hair and break our skin out. Yep. So Steph, I've been natural for 9 years. However, I'm over it. LOL. Steven says, in my 50 years of life, I have never heard a criticism of black hair.
Wow.
Danny goes, I find that hard to believe. And Danny goes, not even one. Patricia A, I've been natural since age 13. And I don't like saying people's age, but she gave it. She's 63 now. Pat, wow. You ain't 63. There's no, Pat, no, man. You look fantastic, by the way.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Danny's saying my daughter and son are biracial and their hair is wild and big and they embrace it.
Yeah, you have no choice.
There you go. Let me just look at Danny's saying my texture is so different from chemo. I don't think I could do it again. Okay, let me just. Okay, I think we're caught up. Okay. So Steph's saying somebody asked me to lift up my hair to see how my extensions were put in. Really?
So disrespectful.
Yeah, that is.
And also Steph says sometimes I hesitate to change my hair because we already know we have to deal with the questions and the comments from white coworkers. And so Steph says you get those questions. How did you get your hair like that?
Yeah.
And Danny tells them none of their business, Steph. Tell them it's black girl magic. I love it. And then and just give me a break here. We're just one other thing here on the YouTube. Comments are flying here. So I'll keep it short. Let's see, Divine Right. And by the way, I did find, okay, we did that. Candace is saying, I know our hair carries energy. How it was broken down to me is that an ether, it curls like 9. I don't even understand that. Okay. A halo, but okay, I just can't understand that. Divine Right says that job experience was in DC, by the way. And back to the job interview, I called my friend who referred me to a temp company, Assista, and the response was, you shouldn't have worn your hair differently, maybe straighten it. I was beyond done. The second time I had a perm from 2003 to 2007, my hair grew weak and some of my hair fell out, as well as my edges. I never went back to it since 2007. Yeah. I'll catch up with some more conversations because I think I've given enough time for Encyclopedia Brown to give some takes. So go ahead.
Sure. I'll keep it brief because Shannon broke it down. So there's really not much more to add. I'll just say that going back to your point about when I wore my locks, because for whatever reason, people were drawn to them. And I agree with whoever commented earlier about like our hair possessing energy. It does. But, and I think locks are a really good visual representation of that energy. I would often tell people that my hair had a mind of its own because it does. And even when it's not locked, it does. But I remember on numerous occasions having people just touch me without my permission. And it makes me really angry. And I got to the point where I had literally zero tolerance for it. And what surprised me is that it was mostly happening when I was overseas in places where there aren't many people like me, and especially people like me with locks. And so at first I tried to be the good diplomat, understanding cultural difference, understanding, ignorance, understanding, period, just being understanding. But then I'm like, but you know what? It's the 21st century. Everybody's got a TV. Y'all consume American culture and music and movies and film and TV and clothes and food. You've seen black people before, and I know you've seen braids and you've seen dreadlocks. So I don't know why you're acting like you've never seen me before. And then number two, I don't know why you think that it's ever okay to touch me. And I would even go further than saying, that they're treating us like we should be in a museum or whatever. I feel like it's dehumanizing because you clearly don't see me as an equal. So you automatically think that you have the right to invade my space and touch me when I don't give a damn about touching you. And if I wanted to, I would ask first. It wouldn't even occur to me to not ask. I remember one time I was living in Spain and I had my first 1.0 locks, and they were probably about, chest length, pretty long. And I was walking through a street fair, like every weekend there was like, a street fair with different, food, music, and vendors selling stuff. And I was just walking through, and on more than one occasion, I could feel people touching my hair. And one time it was so bad that they grabbed my hair and it like made my neck do like a whiplash because I continued to walk, not realizing that someone had grabbed my hair. And then I screamed at the person. I was like, what are you doing? Don't touch me. You do not have my permission. And I could say it in Spanish, which blew their minds even more. And those sort of experiences bother me because I feel like you're treating me like an animal. You're treating me like I'm in a petting zoo. You're treating me like I'm not your equal, because if I were your equal, you would ask. You would. And so I'm at a point now where, Tachi has said this on many occasions, I just don't have tolerance for it anymore. It's not okay. And in any case, I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your background is. I don't care how educated or ignorant or whatever you think you are. At this state of, where we are in the world with all of globalization and just how consumerist our world is and how we, consume everybody else's cultures. And I feel like there's no other culture that's as consumed as American culture is right now. People have seen locks. I've seen black people. It's just not okay. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're from a really rural place and you lived in a very homogenous culture. I just can't, and I will not accept it anymore.
Okay. Just want to catch up here before we get some more comments in. Danny is saying, she said something powerful just a few moments ago. She's not so Steph, my mistake. So Steph said, it's not my job to educate every white person on my culture. This trying to justify my very existence. Okay. Hello to also to Monica Black Diamond. Danny says our presence is powerful. The only thing that most people feel is appropriate is to inquire about our hair. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Dr. Tachi,
Sir.
you good?
Yes. Yes. I started off so I'm ready for the next line of questioning,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Okay. So why do you feel some non-melanated people are fascinated by black hair?
So to a couple of things, actually more than a couple of things. One, it's as simple as that's not the way their hair is, and so they're curious. So I think there's a level of curiosity. B, I think it's in some senses a taboo. So people are always curious or want to know about, touch the thing that's forbidden or taboo. I think those are two very simple reasons, but I think they're two reasons, why.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments from the other Black Lady Magic guests tonight?
I agree with Tachi. I mean, that is really what it is at the base of it all. I mean, like I said, I still try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I understand that there is a natural curiosity. And I mean, my hair is fly, so of course people are going to want to, inquire about it, especially since they can never grow it out of their head. So I try to be tolerant, and I try to be understanding, but there is a line. And that's where I'm trying to sort of make a distinction between genuine curiosity and genuine interest in my hair and really admiration for the way my hair looks. In that case, go ahead. You can touch my locks. Ask me questions. I'm happy to talk to you about it. But there's a difference between that and then some stranger walking in a marketplace and just grabbing my hair because they want to touch it. Yeah. To me, that is never okay. It's very different if it's genuine curiosity, and even if we're only acquaintances in the workplace, I'm a genuinely nice person, and I'm usually okay, and I tolerate it because of the way I grew up, always being different and always having to kind of explain, even though I don't feel like I should have to, and I agree that I no longer wish to educate people. But I understand people are still curious, especially about things that they can never have. So I'm happy to explain this to them. But like I said, I have it's a very clear line for me between what I think is acceptable sort of curiosity and asking permission because that shows respect than just some stranger touching me and treating me like I'm in a petting zoo. That's not okay.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Shannon, do you want to add to that at all?
All I'm gonna say is she better than me. You can't touch my hair. I don't know where your hands been. You're like a baby. Like I don't know where your hands been. I need to be able to see you in front of me. Like I have issues with that. And some people, they didn't just rub their nose and then they want to touch your hair. No.
Yeah, that's true. Or they just came out the bathroom.
We're not doing that. And I do believe that just as our hair is energy, so are people. We are energies, and the oils on your hands and where you've been and what you've been doing and who you've been doing it with. You about to put that in my hair? No.
Yeah, that's true.
From a distance, ask your questions. I will honestly answer them. You may not quite understand half of the stuff I'm saying to you anyway, because I don't have a big subscription of how I got to this hairstyle. For those that oil their scalp and condition on a regular basis, I am not that girl. So, but you can't touch. I'm not a germaphobe, but when it comes to my hair,
yeah.
Okay. Let down to another conversation piece here. How do you feel the media treats and regards blacks and hair? And we'll go to Dr. Tachi first because she is the person I always turn to when it comes to media.
Okay. So I think we see a number of things, and it depends on what type of media. When we say the media, we tend to lump all media together in one. And I must say there's no such thing as the media. There are different media outlets, but we tend, usually when people say the media, I'm not saying you, Dr. Vibe, they're saying it in terms of a negative. They're putting it in a negative light. So just for clarification, there are different media outlets. Media do function in some cases as a unit, but in most cases they don't. So I'm saying that to say that if we're talking about the news media, for the longest time, it's only very, very recently and in very few markets that you're starting to see Black newscasters, Black reporters, and Black anchors that have natural hair. And when you look, it's not like, okay, in this market, for example, there are, I think, 2 Black women that have natural hair, and they're not main anchors or main reporters. One does weather and one does traffic, I think. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, they're not on screen for very long. Then there's Demetria Obalor, who is in the Dallas market, who got all this social media notoriety because of body image or whatever. And somebody made a really derogatory statement towards her. And she got on Instagram and blew everybody's mind away in a very nice way. I wouldn't have been as nice, but she blew everybody's mind away responding to that in a nice way. And her social media presence has grown. She's natural. But I will say this, that what you're seeing in terms of natural, for example, in news media, it's the certain type of natural. It's leaning more towards Lia's style of hair, not style, but Lia's texture of hair, which is a looser curl as opposed to like my texture of hair. So you're not seeing, this is what we're seeing in different media. So then when we look at, for example, commercials for Black hair care products and things like that, if we see, when we see Black women, we're seeing them with a looser texture hair. And if their natural is not looser textured, it's either braided up or a twist out to mimic looser textured hair. So there's still, going back to our conversation last week, what we see is, yes, you could be natural, but there's a certain type of natural you could be. Aha, only certain type. Aha, all right? That's only certain types of natural are acceptable. Locks, right. And the both of you, you've Lia, you've had locks, and Shannon, you have locks now. Locks are something that you see in certain aspects of media. So if we're talking about now entertainment, you know, a lot of things go in entertainment. So if we're talking about the movies, if we're talking about scripted television, if we're talking about reality television, you're going to see a lot more leeway and leverage in terms of the types of natural hair and types of hair than you would in news media, than you would in other, quote, more serious media.
Ladies, what are your thoughts about the media portrayal of Blacks in hair?
I mean, I can say, like, for mainstream shows, I think, you know, you're still seeing a lot of, well, I'll see it like this. When I look at news commentators that are melanated, I don't think I've seen one that wears her hair natural yet. I've never seen one with dreads. I don't think I've even seen one with braids, but I think more and more we are starting to see a broader representation of all of the possibilities of Black hairstyles and sort of Black sitcoms. Like on the major show This Is Us, for example, the main sort of matriarch of the Black storyline has her hair in braids. And their extensions, and they talk about hair all the time. It shows them doing their daughter's hair. There's been times when they showed the father braiding his daughter's hair, her natural little afro into braids. So, oh, thank you, Kente. You know, our airing game is always bomb on this show. It's one of our things. It's our thing. It's one of our things. But I do feel like, thankfully, and this actually is a good thing, and I hope to see more of it, that we are starting to see more representations of the full spectrum of Black natural hair. I don't know when we'll be able to sort of like jump the shark on the whole dreadlocks are only associated with certain connotations and certain behaviors and certain things, like activities that people like to do and partake in. But I think at least we're starting to make some headroom in that direction. Because I mean, if you think about back to the 80s and the Cosby Show, all of the women on that show had straight hair. Now, if but if you move to the 90s and you're looking at Martin, their hair was still straight, except Shanae did wear braids. But now, you know, in current times where there are many, many Black shows, I still feel like the majority of the female protagonists still wear their hair straight. And it's usually like the the sort of rebel in the family who either is wearing locks or has braids or is wearing her hair natural. But I do think kind of very, very slowly, it's starting to creep into, you know, at least sitcoms and TV, that's that sort of entertainment. But as far as news media, I'm sure there's at least one out there, but I haven't seen her and I don't know who she is. If she's wearing her hair naturally, I feel like they literally all have different variations of the same hairdo, or they're wearing the same wig, or they have the same stylist, because it's the same straight kind of look that I see across the board.
Really quickly, I'm sorry, Shannon, before you answer, I just wanted to add in two things. So I guess it depends on what market you're in terms of whether natural is acceptable. When I lived in DC, and you're in DC, there was one newscaster who had natural hair. I can't remember what network it was on. I want to say it was the ABC affiliate there. And she had natural hair. So that was like a shock to me, because I was coming, this was like in the the late 90s. And then B, the other thing I wanted to talk about is that the Cosby Show, Denise, after a point, remember when she had the long locks and what, right?
It was starting to get,
but there was a connotation there. The fact that she was always the one trying to get herself together, never quite doing what she was supposed to do. Exactly. The problem child, dropping out, went to Africa, got married, and then she had locks through all of this. So the connotation there is that locks are associated with people that are kind of freewheeling, not serious, don't know what they want to do. Even though that's not probably the message they were trying to put out there, that's the connotation it gave.
What they perpetuated. Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Okay, moving on. I don't know where to take this conversation.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
I do? Okay,
yes.
I do. Okay, I know how to do it. Okay. How do you react to women of color that don't get the hair thing, or don't get your hair, don't understand your hair?
It's a good question, because I remember being a little girl, and as you all already know, my mother is white, and did the best she could. And one of her ways of doing the best that she thought she could do for me was to take me to her black friend, who also would immediately look at this child and be like, oh, I know how to do this child's hair. She did not. Because my hair is neither, it is both. So what works for my mother's hair won't work for mine. What works for her black friend's hair isn't what's going to work for mine. So I remember having this woman hot comb my hair.
Oh.
Mistake. It scorched my hair for a while, and it took a long time for my hair to kind of recover from that. Thank God, again, I don't know what it was when I was a child. Must have been something in the water, but it didn't break my hair off. But I've seen it. And I know of stories where hot combing, the hair just breaks right there, and it's horrible. And that was a situation where the black woman thought she knew best what this little mixed baby needed. And that wasn't the case.
Right.
Because like I said, my hair has attributes of both, because I am both. And so from that point on, even though I was like in the third grade, yes, the comb was way too hot, Repty. I was just like, no one is doing my hair. I'm dictating what I'm doing with my own hair for the rest of my life. As a little 7-year-old, I made that decision. I was 8. And I've sort of determined sort of the life of my hair from that point on. But I definitely do think that there is this, like Tachi was saying, it really goes back to, even though I think going back all the way to slavery times and sort of the slave doctrine, all the things that we were forced to submit ourselves to, and submitting ourselves to a white aesthetic of beauty at that time has led to where we are now. But I don't feel like, yes, there are some external pressures, like what we said, people don't take people with dreadlocks seriously, so they're going to automatically associate certain stereotypes with you if you wear locks when you're going to look for a job. But that aside, I agree with Tachi that we do it to ourselves. Because I definitely feel like there's this perception that you're not professional looking if you don't have straight hair, or you don't seem put together, or you're not presentable, or, no one will take you seriously. And we do that to ourselves. It's the old guard telling the next generation, because that is the old guard's experience. And so that's what they think they know. And that's what they still see. And in some cases, they're still correct. But in others, they're not. And so I still think they kind of perpetuate this, and then it just keeps going, and it just keeps going, and it hasn't stopped from what I see. And I do think that we are the reason why a lot of these attitudes and stereotypes still exist. And we started to talk about this last time, and we need to talk about it again. This whole creation of the 1C to 4C hair types, that was created by a Black person. So, you know, we do it to ourselves. So I think we just need to call it what it is and acknowledge that. But yeah.
Okay, before we continue on, I just want to catch up on Periscope. It's been so good here. Tatiana's #1 troublemaker, Natalie Cruz, in the house.
Hey, Natalie.
I love this Twitter handle. Aza Ragamuffin is in on Periscope.
Very nice.
Wigga G, key_13. Aza Ragamuffin really enjoyed what Lia just had to say. She fully agrees, and Machio joined. So another Encyclopedia Brown fan is in the house, as always.
Yay.
And then on YouTube, oh gosh, there's too much. So okay. Oh, here we go. Candace Alou has a question. What are you ladies' thoughts on natural hair color? Sisters wanting to be blondes, etc.
I have no problem.
Shannon. Go on.
Go ahead, Shannon. No, Shannon, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I have done the whole color process a couple of times. Like I said earlier, my aunt is a beautician. Shout outs to Addie. She has done hair since before I was born. And the second time I had decided I was going to go back into locks, she had done blonde on the bottom, black in the middle, and red on top, if I remember correctly. And I loved it. However, that's too much maintenance for me, especially since I moved away from home and I don't just trust anybody in my hair. I don't have a problem with it. I think we have so many different options for color. It's not just the permanent colors. It's the temporary colors. It's the hues that don't have the bleach in them. And I mean, one of my really good friends, she taught me the eyeshadow trick. She said, if you just have to have color, you know, go buy some cheap eyeshadow from Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, and brush that onto your locks. So, I mean, the versatility is there. The options are there. I don't necessarily want to put chemicals in my hair anymore, so I don't. So I use some of the other options if I have to. But it's been a while since I put some color in my hair.
Okay. Just want to shout out also Key on Periscope and Joint Specialists. Thank you for jumping in. Also on the Get Vocal platform, Rep G. Thank you so much. And also the other Lia so is in the house. Tachi and Lia, what are your thoughts about hair color, etc., the whole bit?
You want to go first, Lia?
Well, sure. I only have a little bit to say, and then I'll give the floor to you. I would just say, I think that we tend to self-criticize a lot about stuff like this, but I'm like, but no one says anything when white women do it and when they appropriate other styles and stuff too. And I just think it's just another way to be creative with your hair. Yeah. I don't necessarily think because a woman wants to go blonde, that means she wants to be white or something like that. I think she just wants to try blonde hair. I mean, you see people all the time with, you know, blue braids and purple, and everybody wants to put in different colors. I think it's just another type of experimentation and another form of expression. So I think when I was younger, in my younger years, I would be more quick to like kind of clown that or make fun of that or kind of be like, well, why? Like, why would you ever want to look like that? Right. Because you look so good the way you do. But now I'm at a stage where I'm more mature and I'm more thoughtful about it. And I just think it's experimentation. It's playing with your look and playing with styles. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I don't necessarily think it's like self-hatred or trying to like move away from your natural self. In some cases it is, but I would say overall, I think people are just experimenting and playing, and color can be fun. I have never personally ever dyed my hair or anything like that, but it's also because, like Shannon, I don't put chemicals in my hair because I've had such that experience I shared about being burnt. I'm just very, you know, reluctant to try stuff like that, but I'm not opposed to it. Like if my daughter told me she wanted to add blue hair to her braids the next time we do braids, I wouldn't say no. If she even wants to experiment with like a washout color, I'd be willing to do that. If she's talking about something more permanent, we'll have to have another conversation. But I mean, otherwise, I just think it's fun. You know, enjoy it. You know, you only live once. You might as well try something if you want to try it.
Dr. Tachi.
I agree with both of them. Why is it that we are the only people, non-melanated women, that can't just have fun? Why is it? And this, I blame the Hotep community for this. So there always has to be deep meaning behind everything. Sometimes things just are. Can we just have fun? Sometimes can we just be? Why are we the only group of women that can't be? Everything has to be purposeful. And I understand because historically that has been our lot. But sometimes I just want blue hair. Damn. Is that okay? Does it have to be that deep? It doesn't have to be that deep. And I think sometimes the Hotep community, I keep saying that because it's like sometimes they take things to the extreme. It's like, oh, well, because you have blue hair, you have a deep-seated hatred of blueberries, and therefore it comes out stupidness like this. Sometimes we just have the need and the want to just have fun. That's simply all it is. And I implore us again, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Sometimes there is no ulterior motive or ulterior meaning to things. I remember when I was involved in a group, you know, people be like, oh, okay, well, during these African rituals, like I knew all things African because I was Nigerian. How come they stand in a line? Does that have a meaning? They're standing in line for order, okay? There's no deep meaning to it. So sometimes I think we read way damn the hell too much into things. And I need us to relax, take it down 1,000. I get off my soapbox.
Who wants that? Oh, good.
Nothing. There's not much to say. I mean, they both broke it down. But I mean, I can understand why the Hoteps say what they say for the few women or people that do fall into that category, where they do run to a more white aesthetic because they aren't happy with who they are or cannot accept themselves. But I already said my point, and I agree with Tachi and Shannon that it's just creativity. It's expression. Why should we be denied the same thing that every other woman gets to enjoy?
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. That's all there is to it. I'm not saying there aren't people who struggle with self-love and self-value and worth. Of course there are, but that's not unique to the Black community. Just like it shouldn't be unique to the Black community, the desire to be creative and using a little pop of color here and there, change things up. That's what we do. I mean, we're the queens of versatility, if not anything else. And color is just one of the things in our hair care and hairstyling arsenal to utilize.
Okay.
Absolutely. I agree.
I just want to catch up here. Lots of people watching on YouTube, lots of people watching on Get Vocal, lots of people watching on Periscope. So I just want to catch up. I haven't visited YouTube for a while, so let's go. Candace is saying, the perm, the creamy crack has major effects on scalp. It hurts sisters at different points in their life when their hair is thinned out bald. Yes, you are putting chemicals in your scalp, ammonia. She also says, I think that when more sisters are natural, they're under less mind control. I feel that their hair attracts what's real culturally, socially, and health. It changes your paradigm. Divine Right says, many Black women who wore their hair in perms touch my hair without permission versus white women. One sister at work wanted to start calling me, quote, cotton ball, unquote, because of my hair. Stop touching my hair. Candace says, I snapped on a girl when I was in college. She didn't sit by me the rest of the semester. And Divine Right, I don't touch without permission. Again, the woman who wanted to call me, quote, cotton ball, unquote, said she was scared to wear her hair natural. Jeez. What else here? I have a 2-year-old and I guard her because people in the park want to pet her hair. Oh my God.
Exactly. I had to do the same thing with my daughter.
Yeah, I'm not no animal. No thank you.
Yeah. That's a tough one too.
Candace asked a question. My question to the panel: what would happen if every woman went natural?
Everyone would look flying bomb because they would just be, wearing their amazing hair. I mean, I don't know what to say.
And you know what? I think even though we're talking about us, and I do realize that the conversation at this particular point in time is about us, but we're not the only women or people that have textured hair. When you look at people that are Ashkenazi Jews, they've got textured hair. You look at, there's a whole... Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what they call it.
Exactly. So, from Eastern Europe, there are other ethnicities that also have texture. And if you're non-melanated and you have curly hair or textured hair, it's rough for them too. Now, granted, I'm not comparing the roughness, but there is a straight status quo in this country that basically says that straighter textures are better. So if you happen to be white and you have curly hair, it could be rough for you as well. And you do everything. Just look at how many people, you know, there are a lot of people that you think have straight hair that don't have straight hair. But society dictates that in order to be accepted and to look acceptable, you blow it out. So they blow it out, they flat iron it, and we would, you know, you'd be none the wiser. But there's that stigma too, that if you're white and you have curly hair, you're stigmatized. And people don't know how to do your hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would just add quickly too, like, and this is, I think, characteristic of all women. All the women I knew growing up, if they had straight hair, they wanted curly hair. If they had curly hair, they wanted straight hair. So I don't think Black women are any exception to that. If we have short hair, we want long hair. If we have long hair, we want to cut it off. I think that's just human nature, or maybe female human nature, but that's what I've seen, and that goes across the board. And so I don't think, like I said, that Black women are exempt. So the fact that we want to constantly switch our hair up, I think is normal.
I like the opposite. I like looking at different hair. And not that I've ever had to run the gamut and try them all out, but I will praise all of my friends that have different types of hair. I have a friend with really, really big, thick hair, and I'm just like, oh, it would take forever for me to get there. But I'm just going to admire yours. And if I need some warm fuzzies, I'll just go look at your pictures. I love the short afros. That's why I cut my hair off a lot, because I love that part of the growth process. And it's just always been pretty to me. But we have the ability to wear so many different styles, so many different looks. Adding color to it is just another accessory, if you will, to an already beautiful extension of who we are as people. I'm here for it. I love them all. I celebrate them all. And I think that's the problem. We don't celebrate them enough.
Okay. Kente is saying Shannon is going to let me cut her hair off the next time.
No, do not listen to anything Kente says about Shannon. He is telling stories.
Good stuff. Well, I think we're going to start winding it. Oh, hold on a second. Leah is saying my mom is Black and my dad is Hispanic. My husband is Black and my hair is more like my dad, but my daughter's hair is more like my mom. If it wasn't for my mom, I would have had difficulty styling my daughter's hair. My daughter is 14 and she loves her natural hair.
That's wonderful.
That's awesome.
That is a beautiful way to end off our conversation. Ladies, I'd like to say thank you for taking time to make this an epic conversation. You were fantastic. And I am cutting it short because I know especially Lia and Tachi, well, all three of you had a long day. So I like to, Lia, Kinta saying, I am mixed as well. Okay, Kinta. Okay, you. I won't say Black and Black. There was
yep, exactly. Danny's right. Mixed with crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, Lia, the other Lia, Kinte likes to joke, so don't accept him at face value all the time. He likes to play. Patricia's going mixed with what?
Mm-hmm. And then somebody wrote crazy.
Oh God.
Dear.
One day maybe what I'll do is I'll co-host a conversation with Kinte and don't let anyone else in the room and let everyone go at Kinte.
That'd be fun.
That was hilarious.
maybe see, Kinte, let's do it. Okay. Okay, so Kinte and I are we're gonna host a conversation together, and I think I'm gonna be hosting, and I think Kinte is gonna be answering. So we'll leave it at that.
Awesome.
All right, folks. Yeah, man. Dad says a Kinte roast. Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, you like that?
No, it just made me hungry. Kente roast. Sorry. I was just thinking about roast. Sorry. Anyway.
She still needs to finish her second course. That's all.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna wind it down. First of all, Shannon, thank you so much for helping make this an epic conversation.
Yes.
How can people get in touch with you, Shannon?
You can find me on IG and Twitter and Facebook under my full name, Shannon Ford, like the president, hyphen Jefferson, like the president. I am co-host of the Mars and Venus show with Kente V. Ferguson, or as Did put it, the Kente Roast. And we're on YouTube and Get Vocal on Monday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I am also a published author of poetry. I have 5 books on Amazon.com, and I am currently working on my 6th book under the publishing company of Vital Narrative. So
6 books. Impressive.
And Kente saying her poetry is awesome, and I believe it.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Next up, who wants to go first? Tachi or Lia?
It doesn't matter.
I'm happy to go. I don't care either. So, yeah. So I told you all at the beginning, and I'll tell you again that I'm kind of an every woman. I do it all, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But where you can find me and get into more of the things that I'm doing is at Lia World Traveler. That's LIA worldtraveler.com. I'm Lia World Traveler on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter's I'm Lia World Travels. I'm the newest writer for Madame Noir, so you're going to start to see articles of mine coming out there. I'm the content manager for Urban Intellectual, so you will see articles coming out there. I have a few articles in the can with The Griot, and one coming out on Friday with a website that's new for me to work with called Gender Avenger. And it is a quasi-feminist website, but I think they're less about feminism and more about just equal rights for equal people. And so I wrote an article about broadening diversity in other government sectors and spaces beyond the landmark diversity that we've seen in Congress, specifically the House of Representatives in the United States. So I'm saying, you know, that was a positive trend in my opinion in terms of gender parity and a broader diversity. And so I'd like to see that ripple effect continue through other parts of not only the public sector, but also the private one. So it talks a little bit about that. And I finished my first children's book, and I'll tell you more about that later because I'm looking for a publisher. So we will, if you guys have any tips, advice,
talk to
folks
me.
out there.
I have somebody.
Yes, I really would like to try to get it published because I ain't got time to be doing the self-publishing thing right now. Maybe once my kids are in college or something, but until then I can't do it. So please help me. Lia World Traveler, you can find me there. I look forward to talking next week. Yeah, I'll put my information on the side now while Tachi's talking.
And also, Shannon, you can do the same while Tachi's finishing up.
Hi, I'm Tachi. I'm Dr. Tachi.
And I'm hungry. And I'm hungry.
I'm hungry and tired.
I'm, as I said before, a media professor, a filmmaker, a media content producer, and a journalist. I am a former griot writer, that the publication that Lia writes for. I have 2 live streamed shows. On Wednesday nights, I do Mediascope, which is all things media, tech, and pop culture on Periscope, on Twitter, on Facebook Live, and on WJMSradio.com, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And the day before, on Tuesday, I have a podcast that I do with a friend, Kevin, out in LA. And it's called TV Channeling, where we do TV reviews and talk TV, film, and entertainment news. That is on all major podcasting apps. For example, For example, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, etc. TuneIn Radio. Pick your favorite podcasting app. We're there. You can also find us at tvchanneling.com. And we are also on WJMSradio.com. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. Yes, 2 p.m. Pacific on Tuesdays. And then both shows replay on WJMSradio.com on Fridays. Oh, and I'll put my social media stuff in the side.
Yeah, and there was a time Tachi couldn't remember one or two of her platforms, and now she knows all of them.
I think.
Yeah, you're there. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, 2018 Innovation Award winner by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. In regards to myself, I'm going to put it in the side here. I can't keep up with these ladies, so I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm just going to give you my website address, and that will give you everything Dr. Vibe. So the website address is www.thedrvibeshow.com. I would like to thank a whole pile of people: Stephen, Ded, Patricia A., Ritz, Luke, Bobby, Kinte, Herbie. There may be some other people on the Get Vocal platform. I don't think so. I think that covers everyone on the Get Vocal. And on YouTube, let me just pull it up here. On the YouTube, we have Divine Right and Candace Anu. I'm just going to get one or two quick more conversations that are on the YouTube end. Divine Right said, I once had a friend who asked me, do you comb your hair through your Afro puff? Do you comb it at all? And she was a Black woman. And I asked her, and I asked her, does she take care of her natural hair before her perm? And she didn't really. Okay. She thought, okay, next up. Well, Candace is saying, ladies, you are awesome. Great conversation. Divine Right saying, thank you, ladies. We thank both of you ladies on the YouTube platform for helping making this conversation epic. On the Periscope side, there were a few people. I can't remember them all. I know that why do I remember Natalie Crew more than anybody else? But I know there were some others that were there. So if I forgot you or didn't mention you, it was my head, not my heart. I would like to say thanks to everybody who watched us live and who can watch it also on the replay. Next Wednesday evening, 9 p.m., April 3rd Eastern Time, the importance of culture. So that is next Wednesday. Mark your clocks, mark your calendars, etc. And on Sunday afternoon, I will be being interviewed by the Canadian Black content creators at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to be interviewing me in regards to how to build an online community. So they're going to be interviewing me. So if you're available at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, please check it out. And that's it. So I'd like to finish up like I always do on my epic conversations. Remember, you are blessed and highly favored, a magnet for miracles, a solution for someone's problem. Remember, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Next up, sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, and then finally, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Thanks, everybody. We will see you soon. God bless, peace to you all, and keep the faith. Good night.